Okay, it is May the 12th. We're here with Sheriff William Honsal for his media availability. First question here is, how has the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the issues associated with the HCSO's critical staffing shortage?
Well, since we started the COVID response, all of our deputies went to emergency 12-hour shifts, and so we had to modify our schedule. Certain deputies were on a 10-hour shift, and so that got eliminated. We're on they're working 1 of 4 shifts. That's 12 hours, so we're covered. 24/7, 365. We have essentially 2 deputies assigned to each beat area. Willow Creek, Hoopaw, McKinleyville, Main Station, and Southern Humboldt, as well as supervision in both sides of the county. And so far we're hanging in there, and so we're trying to allow for vacations as we can possibly do. Time off. No one's going anywhere, but at least having some time off. But we recognize that there are deputies that are working much, beyond their normal schedules. They are working 12-hour days to make sure there is 24/7 coverage throughout the county.
Great. Can you share some of the most difficult situations members of local law enforcement have had to deal with, specifically related to COVID?
Well, I think one of the most difficult situations that we deal with in general is our domestic violence situations. So any kind of domestic disturbance where people are having a difficult time with relationship, either it's from, a husband, wife, different, a spousal relationship, or a parent, child relationship. So if there's conflict in the home when it can't be resolved, and it gets to the point where someone calls 911 or a neighbor calls 911, then we have to intervene. And oftentimes, it's a very personal situation. We're going into people's lives, going into people's homes, and we understand just arguing isn't necessarily an issue. People can argue, but when it crosses the line is when physical violence or threats occur, and then that's when we document things. And so to deal with those situations and see the aftermath of the children that are involved is very, very difficult on us and the community. And so we recognize that. And so that's probably been one of the chief issues with our COVID is the kids aren't in school. Parents are stressed out, there's conflict in the home, and for us to be able to go there, and oftentimes too, the amount of stress that's in the situation that we have to go and interject ourselves. There's people that have, different responses to us being there, and so be able to wade through all that to get to the heart of the problem and try and be there to help fix the problem, steer to different resources, or maybe sometimes make an arrest. All those things are difficult choices that we have to make on a daily basis, but our deputies are there, they're doing it, and they're trying to make our community safe every day.
Great. Did the COVID crisis affect the way you're recruiting now, and if so, how?
Yeah, so like all of us here, we're not meeting with people face to face, and so what happens is our recruiting had to go through either a conference call or a Zoom type meeting. So our oral board interviews were done that way. A lot of things have been slowed down with the background process and those things. So it's difficult for recruitment to happen, but we've had a very successful recruiting. So far we've had our recruitment teams out, at least pushing out social media and pushing it out through our websites, and we've had a great response. We've had over 60 applicants for our deputy recruit for sending to the academy in July or sending to the academy in January. Our correctional deputy recruitment is going very, very well. We have a list now we're working off of that could create a situation where we are fully staffed in our correctional facility. And so that's been the first time in 23 years we've been fully staffed. And so we're very, very happy about that. And we have other recruitments like dispatch that's been very successful. So we're getting there. We still have a little bit of ways to go with our deputy sheriffs, but we are getting there, and we're optimistic that we'll continue to send people to the academy and try to wade through this. And we don't know what this next budget year is going to be. It's going to be a significant impact on the county and the city's budgets. And sometimes they cut, universally across the board, but we really do not want, we shouldn't have cuts in public safety, because our job and our risk and the amount of work that we have to do usually goes up when there is a crisis or when there's an economic downturn. So it doesn't make any sense to cut back public safety type services, but we're here to work with the county to try and figure out the best, solution to the budget issues in the coming future.
Sure. And then, how often are Sheriff's Office personnel tested for COVID-19, and have any tested positive? If so, who did they come into contact with?
So the good news is that not one Sheriff's Office employee is tested positive for COVID. Well, that's a positive. We had several employees that took advantage of the the test site that's set up in Redwood Acres. They've been tested, and so none of our deputies are required to go get tested. And so, but if they have been exposed or have been in an exposure type situation, we would have them tested to make sure that they are okay, and maybe even isolate them if they did come in significant contact with someone who did have COVID.
So they're not regularly getting tested, it's up to them?
So right now, they're not regularly getting tested, and it is up to them right now whether or not they should get tested. So we have a system in place that if there's any kind of symptomatic, obviously we push for them to get tested. Dr. Frankovich, Public Health, has also steered them into that, because our deputies are out there involved with people, making arrests with people where we really don't know their health status. And so if our deputies or correctional deputies do become symptomatic, they will get a test. And so we make sure that they are taken care of, get tested, and then home during that time when they are symptomatic.
Okay, how many complaints through May 11th has the Sheriff's Office received regarding compliance with the masking rules?
So we received about 100 and over 100 complaints generally, through our compliance hotline, and about 50 of those were complaints about masking. And so we've followed up on those or referred those out and trying to gain compliance with people that aren't masking out there in public. One thing we want to ensure is that we still want to educate people on the need for masking or facial coverings in our community as a part of our public health officer's order. We've actually generated some material, some little small cards that we can hand to people and say, these are the benefits to wear a facial covering. This is the reasons why we're requiring people to wear facial coverings in public and when you can't social distance. So I think that's important as far as education over enforcement. I don't want to give people a $50 ticket for not wearing a facial covering out there. But this is, again, no matter how you feel about facial coverings, this is something we can do for our community to help jumpstart our community. And by wearing a facial covering, it instills confidence in people that do associate themselves with some of the vulnerable population, that they can go out and they can spend money locally in retail and grocery stores and what we need people to do to jumpstart our economy. And so whether or not you believe in the masking things or not, you can really put our community first by going through this and by wearing a mask in public and protecting people that way, and have the appearance that we are doing everything we can to protect the vulnerable population in our community.
Okay. On Mother's Day, there were reportedly huge crowds gathered at the Cottonwood Rodeo, garnering national attention and upset from the sheriff there. What is your response to those who argue social distancing measures should not be mandatory?
Well, there's a lot of issues that came about through the Cottonwood Rodeo, and I understand people's need for entertainment and those kind of things, and people don't want to wait. Let me tell you what the important part about waiting is what's happening in Shasta County. Right now, they were eligible to move on into that extended phase 2, where retail can open up and restaurants can open up, just like we are going to do this week. And because they had a rodeo the last weekend with 2,000 people, they were told by the state that they can't go into their expanded phase 2. And so, by these people, a small fraction of that community, violating the health officer's orders, made a mistake for the entire community of Shasta. So they can't move on into their extended phase 2 because of these actions. And so what we want to do is just have people and these type of events just wait. Just wait. We will get back to it. This is going to be for a short time now. We will be back to normal. We will have our rodeos. We'll have our roping. We'll have our barrel racing. We'll have eventually our fairs back. We'll have all these community events back. We'll have them back real soon. It'll be weird this year. We haven't had the Roadie Parade. There's not going to be, different parades this year, this summer, and 4th of July is going to be a lot different. But we will get back there. And so we want to urge people, just be patient now. Your patience now will make sure that our economy and our area will be opening up a lot sooner than maybe other parts of the state. And so we are in good position to do that now. So.
People often say, if you are worried about catching COVID, then just don't go out. You have a choice. Do you think it should be up to the business to open if they want, leaving the choice to go out or shelter at home to the individual, and could that choice put essential workers at higher risk?
Trying to break that question down here. So So businesses, there is a framework to open businesses up. We got feedback from our local leaders and our community about what are the essential businesses or businesses that are essential to this community, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're going to look at that and try and prioritize the places that we can open up by those, that ranked system. So we're going to do that, and so I think it's important that, number one, that businesses don't open up that can't open up under our rules, okay? It's important that we do have a mechanism to open, a mechanism to offer people to get certified, businesses to get certified, so they meet all the criteria that businesses should be meeting in order for to have employees and customers enter into their establishments. So that's one thing we are working on this week, and we'll be launching this week a way for you to apply online and to get that certification, and it basically means to submit your plan. How are you going to deal with the control measures? How are you going to deal with disinfecting? How are you going to deal with physical distancing? How are you going to deal with masking and those kind of issues within your store? And you're going to document those things into your safety plan to submit online, and we'll give you an approval so you can print out a certificate that you can display in your window that OSHA, California Department of Public Health, and the County of Humboldt has certified that you are compliant with the state and local orders, and customers and employees can feel confident in shopping or working in your store. So that is essential. Again, we want to build confidence in our community that they can go back to work and they can go back shopping or going to an establishment, and that they will be protected, and their safety and security is being taken into consideration.
What are the repercussions for businesses that are allowing customers into their stores prematurely?
There's a lot of things that can happen. One is it's against the public health officer's orders. They could be fined, written a ticket. If they are a part of a state compliance certification, the state can come in. The state did go into several businesses in Yuba and Sutter County, and ABC, as well as I think the cosmetology certification, went through and they took people's business licenses away or certifications away. So I think it's important that number one, that we wait for that time. I mean, we're going to be close. If we do this right, we show that we can go through these next steps, go into this phase 2, and we can stay, keep our numbers low, and then we can go into phase 3 right after that. We're going to be there. We're going to be there, and we're going to go one thing at a time and make sure that these businesses are done, and again, done in a correct manner, because ultimately, if customers don't show up to your business because they fear that their safety isn't being taken into consideration, then people aren't going to be making money. So we want to make sure that is in place, and that businesses are in compliance with the state and local orders.
Okay. Have any warnings or citations been issued to businesses trying to reopen but are not in compliance?
I know of some warnings that have been issued. Absolutely. To my knowledge, there hasn't been one citation issued yet, because no one pushed that envelope. Once the warnings were hit, they modified, they shut their doors, they did what they needed to do to make sure they were in compliance with the public health officer's order.
Okay. And then finally, you mentioned that the jail would start allowing visitations again for inmates. What steps or precautions are being taken to protect correctional officers, inmates, and also the visitors coming into the correctional facility?
So we're doing everything we can to try and protect our inmate population and our correctional deputies that are working there. We do have our masking order for everyone that's working with the public, that they have the mask. For people that do visit, we've reduced our visitation numbers, the amount of times people can come in and visit. And starting next week, we'll be opening up our visitation hours with restrictions. So the idea here is that under certain times of day, people can come in and they will have to wear a facial covering. They'll be sanitizing, and then provided a sanitizing wipe so they can wipe down those areas after, before and after they use the visitation area. And then our cleaning team has been going in, twice a day to clean those areas to make sure that everything is kept clean. All those commonly touched surfaces are kept clean, and we're going to be doing everything essentially that an office or a business would do to make sure that their customers are taken care of. We're doing the same thing for our inmates and our people that visit our correctional facility.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to talk about today?
Just that there's going to be a lot of moving parts this week. Dr. Frankovich is working on our attestation to the state, and that we are bringing that to the Board of Supervisors, Wednesday morning. And we hope that, everything, the support letter comes from the Board of Supervisors, and then we're able to submit it to the California Department of Public Health for review. Once they review it, post it on their website, then we're able to open up, into our expanded phase 2. And we'll be doing the certification process through our website, humboldtgov.org. Watch that website. We'll be able to release that information and then walk people through it. We'll have tutorials there. We'll have sample documents for people to look at and to tailor their plan, so they can make sure that employees and customers are taken care of and you have protocols in place. But please visit the governor's website that talks about the resilience roadmap, the roadmap for reopening, and you can see under there's 17 sectors that are outlined out there. If you're a retail establishment, click on the retail, and you can see the requirements that you need to consider for reopening. And those are the kind of requirements that you're going to need to answer, or at least have some kind of idea how you're going to answer, when you come into compliance and apply for this online. So you can start doing that kind of information gathering and kind of protocol creation now in preparation for this coming certification process at the county. Besides that, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.